This is Moneyline Mania with Chaz and the crew.
Chaz, what's going on, bud? I know you've been feeling sick. I'm happy that you made it today.
A wee bit under the weather. No wake and bake. I didn't even wake and bake myself this week because I'm sick. And when I'm sick, the last thing I want to put is smoke down my throat. I'm taking some antibiotics. I'm taking some pills, so I didn't want to eat the gummies. So I've literally gone this whole week straight. And let me tell you, the world isn't pretty straight.
The world is our oyster.
It is, and we had a good week last week. I took some money out of Costa Rica, and I left it in my Bitcoin account, and it grew because Bitcoin went on a little run. So I made money both on the sports betting and with the crypto. That's not a bad week.
No, it's not. With sports, there's so much stuff going on. Baseball still going on. You have football, you have basketball, you have hockey, you have horse racing. Not the big horse races, but you can still go to big tracks and bet on horses as well.
Breeders' Cup is actually next weekend. I will not be here. Breeders' Cup is 11 races. Each race takes me between 30 minutes and 45 minutes to handicap. 2 full days of just reading until I can't see anymore, taking off my glasses, rubbing my eyes, putting my glasses back on, and reading some more.
How about your boy from Greece? Paulo, what's up, man?
Everything going good. Lots of betting this week. I got a real good soccer game this week. With the World Cup approaching, coming soon, everybody right now is gearing up for the World Cup. But I think this week should be pretty good. Last week, I missed a couple of plays at the end. But this week, this play is going to win and win big.
All right, so why don't we get into some soccer conversation first and then football, maybe some baseball, because I have Philadelphia winning the series.
No, you're not crazy at all. I actually have the Phillies to win.
They will win the World Series with Bryce Harper as the main face of that team, and he will win the MVP. Whoever wins the first game has the advantage because I think they have the mojo.
Especially when you were up big. You're up 5-0 with Verlander on the mound. He's 163-2.
There's something special about this Philadelphia team. Girardi gets fired. They bring in Thompson, his bench coach, another Yankee. He takes over. The team falls in love with this guy. They make a couple of trades at the trade deadline. Bryce Harper comes back at the end of the season. He gets hot. Schwarber is an all-star. Real Muto's starting to hit. Everybody's hitting the ball now, and they all believe it. And by the way, they have the second best bullpen in the playoffs. One of the worst bullpens throughout the season. They have the second best bullpen in the playoffs. The 1996 New York Yankees. Right. That's who they remind me of. The Joe Torre thing. He takes over for the Yankees. Buck Showalter gets fired. The starting of the season, they did not play well. All of a sudden, in the second half of the season, they made a couple of trades. They start winning. They go to the playoffs. They come back in almost every single game. They were down 2-0 against the Braves in the World Series, came back and won the whole damn thing. It's not going to happen like that in this World Series, but this Philadelphia team reminds me of the 1996 New York Yankees.
Getting down to soccer. In the English Soccer League, this week, my play of the week. Last week, they disappointed us towards the end, but this week, Arsenal's going to win big. And they're not only going to win big, they're going to score 2 or more goals. That's my top play this week. My other play, again from the English League, West Ham is playing in Manchester United. All the money on Manchester United. After this week, they won the Europa League. I think West Ham, at a very nice price, has a chance to score over 0.5 goals. Third game, Real Madrid in the Champions League, they lost at Ipswich. Going at home, playing against this very mediocre team, I see Real winning, and I see a lot of goals in this game, and I see Real scoring goals in this game. Another game which is pretty interesting in the Italian league. Another team that's surprised a little bit. Lazio's playing good this year, but defensively they're not that strong. And I can see Salernitana scoring a goal. So Salernitana over 0.5 goals. Very nice odds. My top play of the week is the Arsenal game.
Paulo gives you soccer play. You got to remember, these games start early in the morning. It's not always easy to find these plays because you don't normally know the names of these teams. Everybody knows the big names, the Arsenals, the Real Madrid, but this guy had an incredible run 4 years ago in the World Cup. That was pre-pandemic, so I wasn't betting soccer like I'm betting soccer now, but he did the same thing with the ladies. And don't get me wrong, he's going to give you teams that are minus 350. Play to 350, take the $100 and be happy. He just doesn't lose very often in the World Cup.
I don't know if you've noticed on the board, on the World Cup board, what kind of money Brazil is taking. Why is Brazil taking so much money? Brazil, last World Cup, consistently dropping. And another team, I'm very surprised, they're taking a lot of money, is Argentina. The one that you said last week, Ghana-Uruguay game, is one of the top games of the World Cup. Before December 2nd, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Till December the 1st, I got the 11 perfect plays. Uruguay is not that great, and Ghana attacks. If Ghana scores, Uruguay can't keep up. Last World Cup, I went 24-3. The Women's World Cup, 24-2. Another one, I went 29-0. Perfect. Defense and goaltending wins championships. Bottom line, the most overrated team is England. England, Germany, Portugal, they're going nowhere. By December the 7th, the 8th, I'll give you the winner who's going to win the World Cup. It ain't going to be France, like I told Chaz.
Let's look at some NFL games. So let's start with what Wes said. This week is the last week of the CFL regular season. We're not going to play it, but hop on Toronto, 4-1 to win it all. He says quarterback play is key this time of year. Down the stretch, they've got the best quarterback. In the NFL, he likes Arizona and the Rams. I know that Rams-San Francisco game is really a big game in terms of people believe whatever team they believe is going to win. They're really passionate about it because I talked to 4 different people. 2 were on 49ers and 2 were on the Rams, and it was like both of them, it was their best bet of the week. I have the Rams in a parlay to win the division. So this is a big game because they've already lost to the 49ers once. I'm taking the Rams. I don't want the points.
I like the Rams, too. Christian McCaffrey, second game. He knows the offense now. I think Kyle Shanahan will use him more. He'll probably get 30 to 35 touches in this game. And the Rams have had problems stopping the run. I believe that McCaffrey will get his licks. He might even have a touchdown or 2. But I think this will be a game that's going to transition Matthew Stafford's year. Has not looked good. And this offense hasn't looked good. It's been Cooper Kupp or nothing. Allen Robinson will wake up this week, and I believe Henderson is going to have a fun game. I think they're going to use him in different ways that they used Akers. Now, Akers is probably going to be gone at the trade deadline. This is Henderson's team now. He is going to run the offense. He is the number one guy. I expect him to have a big game, and I expect this offense to show up. And by the way, this defense will put pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo will make mistakes just like he did last week against Kansas City. I like the Rams in this game. I think it'll be close. All in all, I think the better quarterback is Matthew Stafford, even though he isn't 100% healthy, and you can see that this year.
The Rams at home are playing much better.
I'm sticking with San Francisco, and the reason I like them is because of their defense. I think they're going to put pressure on Stanford. They're the better team. The Rams haven't shown nothing.
The advantage goes to the LA Rams. They're playing at home. I think the crowd will be on their side in this game, and the Rams have not been a good away team this year. I think this is the time where they can transition at home and be the team that everybody thought they were going to be this year. A lot of people thought they were a Super Bowl contender to win it back-to-back years. They just haven't showed up this year. There is no Von Miller. They added Wagner. Wagner really hasn't played as well as everybody thought he was going to, and it's crazy. Seattle gets rid of Russell Wilson. They lose Bobby Wagner, 2 Pro Bowl players, Hall of Famers, and both those guys have not had good seasons. It seems like Seattle knows more than we do. Geno Smith is the star quarterback over there, and Russell Wilson can barely throw a football now.
Russell Wilson is the biggest disappointment this year. This week, playing Jacksonville, I wouldn't touch that game.
I have the Broncos in this game. I think the Broncos will come out. I think Russell Wilson will have a good game. After all the crap that you're hearing, everybody is taking shots at Russell Wilson. If you don't think Russell Wilson is listening, well, I think he's going to show up on the field. I think he's going to be able to move his feet. He's going to make plays with his legs this week. Try to stay away from throwing the ball as much as he can. Sutton can catch the ball, but Jerry Jeudy's had problems catching the ball this year. They can't do anything the last couple of weeks in running the ball. Why is Melvin Gordon opening his mouth, saying that he should be the number one? And by the way, Hackett can't really hack it anymore, because if he loses this game against the Jaguars this week, I believe the Broncos will fire Hackett. I don't care what the GM says, how much he says he's keeping the team together. What is there to keep together? This team stinks. They traded away all their futures for Russell Wilson, so why not trade their star pass rusher in Chubb, try to get picks for him, try to rebuild? Russell Wilson, you paid him $40-some-odd million. This man has made money. This guy's had how many contracts? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's time Russell Wilson's going to show up. You know which games I'm looking at? I'm looking at the Cleveland Browns plus 3.5, and don't be surprised if they win. I like the Saints plus 1.5. You like the Jets. I'm taking New England minus 2.5. Bears, I agree with you.
I'm with you on that Chicago upset, though. With the Dallas not having Zeke, I don't think he'll be able to expose a bad run defense with Tony Pollard, who's more of a gadget pass-catching guy.
I think Dallas is winning that game. I think it was a fluke what they did against New England, even though I don't think New England's any good. And I believe the Jets are going to teach Bill Belichick a little bit of a lesson. This guy has been showing the Jets up year after year. It's the Jets' turn to show off what they have, what the future really holds for the New England Patriots in that division.
Belichick loses a game after Brady gets divorced. I don't know if that could happen.
One interesting game we haven't talked about this week, the Arizona Cardinals plus 3.5.
I have Minnesota in this game. The one thing that concerns me with the Cardinals, Paolo, is their red zone offense has really not shown me much. They've had to settle for field goals a lot and still no James Conner. I think, though, it'll be a close one-possession game. I think they'll put up yards. I don't think they cover 3.5, though.
Another game I'm looking at, Atlanta, Carolina. Atlanta should win this game.
Yeah, I have Atlanta.
4. But that Green Bay Buffalo game, I think the Bills going to win this game by 21 points.
First time Aaron Rodgers is a double-digit underdog in his career, minus 10.5 point spread.
You can see the same thing that happened to Tennessee. I can see the same thing happen to Green Bay. How can Green Bay stop this Buffalo attack? Aaron Rodgers is not the same quarterback. Him and Tom Brady are just not the same quarterbacks.
Anytime I hear both him and Wes on Arizona, I'm going to lean against Minnesota. We were talking about a couple things this year. It's amazing how many teams are doing that home and away thing, right? They're just horrible on the road or they're horrible at home. These are NFL teams. You would think that they would have some consistency. But look at the Eagles. The Eagles are dominating the first half and they stink in the second half. The championships are won in the second half. If you got a future bet on the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl, I wouldn't spend that money quite yet if I were you.
I think Philadelphia is going to win this week. What Philadelphia is doing this year is really remarkable. And by the way, they have the Saints first-round draft pick this year. Now, the Saints, if they don't make the playoffs, right now, they're in a top 10. Could you imagine Philadelphia get a top 10 pick after being the best team in the NFL? Could you imagine them win the Super Bowl this year? They have a top 10 pick, and by the way, they have their own pick, too. So they have 2 first-round draft picks. They can rebuild this team even more deeper, and this team is going to be even more unstoppable for many, many years to come. I could see the Jets in Philadelphia in the next 2 years meeting in the Super Bowl. Really, really young teams, rebuilt in the draft. 2 GMs that know each other very, very well because they work with each other. Herbig was a Philadelphia Eagle. They let him go, and what happened? JD picked him up, and right now he's one of the better guards right now in the AFC. What does that tell you about JD?
Yeah.
He knows his team. He knows the players that he drafted over there in Philadelphia. And both guys very well respected around the league. JD, Harry Roseman. Look what these 2 teams are doing right now.
This week, Philadelphia is rolling again. This team is impressive.
This is a huge game for the Jets. They got beat last year like 80-20 in the 2 games. If you get a chance to take out somebody who's made you their bitch, you got to do it. Mm-hmm. And if they don't do it, they could go from 5-2 to 5-5 in 3 weeks. But if they get to 6-2, they're going to have some swagger.
I think it's so very important that the Jets go out and run the ball, make the Patriots open up the field. And I think Elijah Moore is going to play a big part in this game after his complaining, posting up his garbage, his psalms with the Bible. Now he's got his own handshake with Berrios. This guy is just an absolute big baby. So he'll see the ball this week. I expect Zach Wilson to air the ball out. Last year, in one game, he threw 4 interceptions in the first half. This won't happen this year. I do not see Mike LaFleur doing that. I expect more throws by Zach Wilson in this game, but I expect a complete bashing. I believe Robinson is going to be used a lot in the open field. He is going to bash. Carter's going to run on the outside. This team's going to be able to run against the Patriots. You saw what the Bears did last week. They could run the ball against the Patriots, and that was in New England. This is a different ball game. I think the Jets are going to be able to run. I think the Jets are going to be able to put pressure. As long as they can protect Zach Wilson, which I believe they will, because George Font will be back this week, I believe the Jets will win, and not just win, swag them throughout the game. 24-10.
I'm looking forward to watching this game.
Over here in New York, I think the Jet fans want to see this happen. They don't give a crap about the Buffalo game because it's a hit or miss with the Buffalo and the Jets. The Jets could surprise the world and beat Buffalo and get first place in the division. Nobody's even thinking about that because nobody hates Buffalo like they hate New England. They want to bash New England this week. They want to put Bill Belichick in a box and mail him back to his son. I'm 5-1 picking the Jets this year.
You talked about the teams that are playing good at home and playing bad on the road, and Detroit's a fine example of that, right? They are just 2 totally different teams. I really like the over in that game, but my best bet, it's the over in the Vegas Saints game.
Over a Lions game.
I'm with Chaz the whole way. I have Miami in an over blowout.
I have Miami. I don't know if it's a blowout, but I have Miami winning the game.
After what happened last week with the Lions, I'm not touching that game. I'm not putting nothing on that game. I'm never taking the Lions again.
You're
And
dead to him.
like last week, exactly what
The
you
Lions
said.
are
You're
dead to
perfect
him.
on it.
I'm very excited with this weekend because if the Jets can pull this off against New England, which I believe they will, their record is 6-2, and they play a showdown game against Buffalo before their bye week.